Hello everyone, this is Jasmina, and in this video I am going to talk about issues with your main door location. And this also applies to stoves or cooktops. And I will discuss that. Now, there can be issues when your main door is located in an animal sign. Now, your main door is the one that visitors come and they ring the doorbell at. It doesn't necessarily mean the door that you use the most when you leave, but it's the door that packages are delivered to. That's what the main door is. And so that usually has a direct, it has like a direct connection with the outside, and it doesn't go through the garage. Now, if your door is located in a sector that has an animal sign, all of the annual afflictions are in animal signs. And that will affect the door for that given year. So that sometimes is a problem. But the only one that isn't always in an animal sector is the 5 yellow, and it also affects non-animal sectors. But the 5 yellow is the one that can be cured quite easily with metal, and it's the only annual affliction that is really easy to deal with. The others are quite a bit harder. And I do have a video about mitigating like the 3 killings, and that gets quite complicated. The other problem that can occur is if the door animal sign is either your year's animal sign or it clashes with your year's animal sign, and that could be anybody in your house, then problems will occur for that person. If it is the same, if the person's year animal sign and the main door location is the same animal, there can be significant issues. And for a main door, it can be your financial or it can be your health. It can affect anything. If your main door animal sign clashes with your animal sign, your year's animal sign, you will have smaller problems. And these problems may be kind of naggy and a little troublesome, but they're not serious. So this isn't as important. But if you're having regular problems, this might actually explain why. Now, the same rules here also apply to your range or your cooktop location. And some people would call this a stove, but it's probably called a range. That is, you have basically a surface where you put pots and pans and cook with, and you have a oven underneath. That's what a range is. But you can have a separate cooktop, and when you do that, you often have a separate location for your wall ovens. The wall ovens are not affected by this. And the idea is that in an oven, all the heat is enclosed in a box. All that energy is supposed to stay in the box. Of course, some actually does leak out, but it's not much. Whereas the heat from the range or the cooktop directly interacts with the air that you're breathing all the time when they're on. So this is why it applies to the range or the cooktop, but not the wall oven. Just to be clear, if your main door and your range or cooktop are in either your year animal sign or clash with your year animal sign, this is something that you have to be concerned about. If this is not the case, you don't even need to listen to this video. If you are a working adult, the month animal sign, your month animal sign, may also be of a concern, but it's not going to be as bad. It's the year animal sign that's more important. So if these two are not in an animal sign at all, you never have to worry about this. And that's why when I design a house, I try to put the range and the main door in non-animal sign subsectors. Because then the only time you have to worry about an annual affliction is during the 5 yellow, and that can be cured quite easily. So if your main door and or your range or cooktop are in an animal sign, but you don't have a clash with that animal sign, it's not your animal sign, you don't need to worry about this. And this, of course, applies to everybody in your household. Again, for the working adults, it's probably a good idea to check your month animal sign too. But you could have your main door or your range in those locations in an animal sign sector. When that animal sign has an annual affliction, you are likely to have problems, even if it's not clashing or the same animal sign as you are. So this is why I like to put these two in a non-animal sector. Now, other doors are not a concern. Your garage door, your back door, don't worry about them. It's only your main door that you have to worry about. So here are the animal signs and their subsectors in degrees. You do need to use a pie chart for this. It's the only accurate way to do this. And so this means you also need to know where your true north is. And if I have videos that discuss this, and on my website I have a little calculator that can help you to convert UTM to true north. So this can be done, and I haven't found someone who cannot do this if they listen to the video a few times. It's a little complicated, but it can be done. Once you know what your year animal signs are for everyone in the household, what you need to do is find your secret friend. Now, we've done this before with the mitigation for the 3 killings. We used the secret friend also. And so this isn't totally new, but the key to this is the secret friend. So let's say you have a year animal sign of a dragon. Well, rooster is your secret friend. If it's your animal sign is pig, then tiger is your secret friend. So the next step is that you look at the secret friend, not your animal sign, but your secret friend's animal sign. Find out what element it is, and then this gives you what you need to activate that friend. So we had the dragon, but the dragon's secret friend was the rooster. So if you're a dragon, you look at the rooster, and it says metal, that's its element, and it needs wind, which is basically a fan. And if you want to know where these elements come from, this comes from the location of the animals within the low shoe. So this is where these elements come from. And these elements that activate it are either the same, that is a friend of the element, or it's the element that produces the element of your secret friend. So, for example, the snake, its element is wood, and water produces it. But for a rat, it's water, its friend is water. And it's either going to be water, fire, or wind. That's the only activations. So now we go back and we look again. This is kind of like the summary. And I gave you all the other information so that you know where it comes from. And it tends to make more sense when you do that. So now we're looking at your year animal sign. So we had the dragon. So the dragon, if you have your door or store located in southeast 1 or northwest 1, you need to place a fan in the rooster location, the west 2 sector. And we also looked at the pig. Well, the pig is its location is actually northwest 3, and its clash animal is in southeast 3, which is the snake. And its friend is the tiger in northeast 3, and you need to have fire because the tiger is earth and fire produces earth. So this is the chart you really need to understand what you need to do if your door or your stove is located in an animal sign that is either your same animal sign or clashing you. So in more detail, if we're talking about a fire element that you have to place a fire activator, basically we're talking about a salt lamp that stays on 24/7, and the candle, how you start the salt lamp is you light a candle first and then you turn on the salt lamp. There are 10-minute candles that are pretty easy to get. Even a 5-minute candle is fine if you can find it. The idea is you light the candle, you turn on the salt lamp, and you stay with the candle until it just burns out. And you just relax while you're doing that. And then once a week, you light a candle again, and you just let it burn out. You sit there and watch it. Now you can have a bigger candle, and after 5 minutes, you can blow out the candle, and then a week later, relight the candle for another 5 minutes. That also works. Either way works. But it's the nice thing about a 10-minute candle, it's done. You don't have to worry about it. It just is easier than watching your watch or the clock. An aquarium is a good idea. I mean, it's a kind of an ideal thing because it's better to look at, but it cannot have a lid on it. It has to be open to the air. You can instead have a large, like garbage size can bucket. It's not really a bucket, it's a can, that is at least 10 gallons. And maybe a little bit more is an ideal thing. I don't know how big most garbage size cans are, but they might even be 30 gallons. And you would have water in that, at least 3/4 full, and then you put a pump that you use for like fountains and so forth. You just drop that down into the bottom. That circulates the water so that you don't get mosquitoes. And with the aquarium, you either have one that has fish in it so they eat anything that tries to grow in there, like mosquitoes, or you have a filter in it. Depends how big the aquarium is. Fresh water is better than salt water, but you could do salt water. Now, when you're filling this object, you actually want to bring the water to the location and fill the aquarium or the pail with water from wherever you get your water, your faucet. It's going to take longer, but it brings energy to that place, and then you place it in the container and it creates energy that way. And so that's an important thing. That's one of the caveats. Now, if you go away on a vacation, you can dump the water. In this case, you can turn off your salt lamp. And then when you come back, you refresh the water. That's just a little bit safer. Now, if it's an aquarium, you probably have to have somebody come and like once a day to check on the fish, or once every couple of days to feed them and that kind of thing. That's fine too. But if it's a bucket, I would say dump it so you don't have to worry about it leaking. So for a fan, metal blades are preferred because that's moving metal. And that's another way to activate the metal elements. And it should be blowing towards the center of your house. But if it's in a room, you want to point it towards the door that leads to the rest of the house or to the center of the house. And if you have 2 doors, the one closer to the center. Preferably it's on 24/7, but at least 8 hours minimum. And it does not have to be a big fan. It can be quite small. And you can stop the fan to clean it whenever you like. That's not a problem. As long as it's on a minimum of 8 hours a day, you should be good. Now, the mitigation, which I just talked about, needs to be in place until either you can move the main door or the range, or you move out of the house and let somebody else deal with the problem. And if you're renting, there's a very good chance you can't move either one of these. If you're in an apartment, there's also a very good chance that neither one of these can be moved. And in the case of an apartment, it's actually the balcony that you might want to look at, because that's where more of the energy comes in. And it would be the door to the balcony, just to be absolutely clear, not the balcony itself, but the door to the balcony. Again, when you're away on vacation and nobody is staying in the house, that is, everybody goes on vacation, then you can stop the mitigation and restart it when you return. These things cannot affect you. These negative things can't affect you when you're not living in the house. So it's okay to turn these off when you're on vacation. So that's basically it. I'd like to thank you for watching. Please feel free to contact me here if you have more questions, or visit my ad-free website for more information, including the calculator to transfer UTM to True North, because you might need it. I'd like to thank you again for watching.